Hey there folks, the number one Liturgy fan from the Infinite Jukebox here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Liturgy EP, Immortal Life II. Ravenna Hunt-Hendrix and her time spent as the leader of the avant-garde black metal project Liturgy have built a somewhat complex legacy over the years, and even those among us, myself included, who really do love Liturgy as a band, I especially consider them to be one of my all-time favorite metal bands, can recognize some of the more pretentious and self-indulgent qualities that do define a huge chunk of their work, for better or for worse, and how they could drive away potential new listeners. Trust me, as much as I love this band, if you don't get it, I get it. Even still, some of these extreme philosophical self-indulgences have lent themselves as benefits to Liturgy and their overall sound over time, especially some of their more extreme experimentations into realms like classical or some of the harshest avant-garde sort of dissonant black metal that you'll probably ever hear from this century at the very least. And it is because of this that it is so interesting to go back to 2008 and hear the Liturgy EP Immortal Life, arguably one of the biggest early career disasters you could ever find of a now great band. Obviously, that EP was a long time ago, however, and I would not hold it against Liturgy or even Ravenna now, but at the same time, it still does exist. So it feels even more shocking, all the more baffling, equally as baffling as its very existence, that she and the rest of the current Liturgy lineup would actually want to go back to it, revisit it, and re-record it to make something that actually works much better than the original ever did, but that's exactly what they did here, and I'm honestly really glad that the band did it. Immortal Life 2 never really loses the raw simplicity of the original Immortal Life, kind of never really sacrificing a lot of the DIY qualities of it, which you can especially hear in the dry yet fitting drum tone of Leo Didkovsky, who really brings a lot to the table here in terms of ensuring that the record maintains a lot of that aforementioned garaginess, with the penultimate track, No More Sorry in particular, as well as the album closer, Vessel of Everthirst, especially acting as songs that manage to maintain that rawness, yet at the same time expand upon them to the point that they feel like they are much more rooted in modern liturgy, with a lot of ideas relating to maximalism, a lot of classical and orchestral musical ideas that I don't have a large enough brain to explain properly, etc., etc. This is an example of a band revisiting older material and reworking it into something that actually suits them in the modern day, and it just so happens that the original material here was genuinely pretty awful, and the reworked material here is genuinely pretty great in its best moments. More importantly, Immortal Life 2, it loses the original EP's sort of cybernetic, cyber grind influences, which is pretty welcome from this band. I mean, if they would have mastered that kind of sound, then I would have been fine with it returning, but considering it's never really been a part of their vocabulary ever since they became a much more critically beloved band, then I doubt they would have, not knocking on them for that, so I'm fine with them not returning to it. I'm actually kind of glad. With that being said, there are still some electronic influences found on tracks like EverQuest 2, for example, that prove that Immortal Life 2 is a proper reworking of old ideas rather than just a completely new, re-envisioned idea of Immortal Life that happens to have 2 slapped onto it. It really does feel like a proper reinvention of these same ideas to kind of modernize the original Immortal Life EP, make it what it was meant to be, and turn it into something that represents the modern day liturgy, which 2024 liturgy is much stronger, obviously, than 2008 liturgy. It could be said that Immortal Life 2 is a record in the way that it sort of drops certain misguided ideas while also kind of refusing to completely stray from its roots, is a project that is how a very old project at this point was always meant to sound. I mean, perhaps Ravenna Hunt-Hendrix didn't have a full concept of what the original was supposed to sound like to her back in 2008, or maybe she just didn't simply have the means to fully flesh out her vision when she made the original. But either which way, none of that really matters at this point, though, because Immortal Life 2 genuinely feels like what the original Immortal Life was meant to be all this time, which is a somewhat electronic and extremely raw, but overall very good to great EP from Liturgy, a band that are now, without question, one of the most boundary-pushing metal bands active today. I'm going to give this record 3.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that is the end of this quick album review. Thank you for watching the Infinite Jukebox, and I'll see you in the next one.